Hello, I'm Sakiz, and on this channel, we explore fictional technology horror stories that feel disturbingly close to reality. Tonight's story is about something in nearly every home, a television that promises entertainment and convenience. But what happens when that TV becomes a neural manipulation device, broadcasting subliminal frequencies designed to reprogram your purchasing behavior without your awareness? This is the story of Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a neurologist who discovered that smart TV advertisements weren't just promoting products, they were using imperceptible frequencies to directly manipulate brain chemistry, creating compulsive buying behaviors and brand addictions in millions of viewers. This story explores the terrifying possibility of entertainment technology becoming a mass mind control system, where every commercial break is actually a session of involuntary neural conditioning. While completely fictional, it raises urgent questions about what frequencies our screens are emitting and whether we're being influenced in ways we can't consciously detect. Are you ready to question what your TV is really doing to your brain? Let's begin. Dr. Sarah Mitchell had been a neurologist in Portland for 12 years, specializing in behavioral neurology and compulsive disorders. In April 2024, she started seeing patients with symptoms she'd never encountered before. The first was Marcus Chen, 34, a software engineer. "I can't stop buying things I don't need," he told Dr. Mitchell during his initial consultation. Specific brands. "I'll be at the store and I feel this compulsion. Like I have to buy this exact product. But I can't explain why I want it." Dr. Mitchell ran standard neurological tests. Marcus showed elevated activity in the ventral striatum, the brain's reward center, and unusual patterns in the prefrontal cortex when shown certain brand logos. "Have you experienced any trauma, stress, or significant life changes recently?" Dr. Mitchell asked. "No. Everything's normal. I just started wanting things obsessively. And once I buy them, I don't even use them. They sit in my closet. But when I'm not buying, I feel anxious, incomplete." 2 weeks later, another patient with identical symptoms. Then another. By June, Dr. Mitchell had 17 patients, different ages, different backgrounds, different occupations, all presenting with the same unusual syndrome. Sudden onset of compulsive purchasing behavior, obsession with specific brands they couldn't explain, anxiety when unable to purchase targeted products, memory gaps about why they wanted the items, neurological patterns showing abnormal reward center activation. "It's like brand addiction," one patient described. "I know it's irrational, but I feel driven to buy these specific things." Dr. Mitchell consulted with colleagues. No one had seen this pattern before. It wasn't typical OCD, addiction, or compulsive buying disorder. The neurological signatures were different, more like conditioned responses than pathological compulsions. She interviewed patients extensively, looking for common factors. Different diets, different medications, different lifestyles. But one commonality emerged: all 17 patients had purchased new smart TVs in the past 6 months. 12 used ViewTech brand. 3 used smart screen. 2 used neural display. All 3 brands advertised AI-optimized viewing experience and personalized content delivery. Dr. Mitchell felt a chill. Could the TVs be doing something to cause these symptoms? Dr. Mitchell purchased all 3 TV brands and brought them to her research lab. She contacted Dr. James Park, a neuroscientist specializing in sensory processing and neural manipulation. They set up equipment to measure everything the TVs emitted: visible light, sound across all frequencies including infrasonic and ultrasonic ranges, electromagnetic radiation, and screen flicker patterns. What they discovered was sophisticated and horrifying. "These TVs are emitting subliminal frequencies during advertisements," Dr. Park explained, showing Dr. Mitchell the analysis. "Look at this. During regular programming, the TVs operated normally. But when commercials played, additional signals activated. Infrasonic frequencies, below 20 Hz, that humans can't consciously hear but that affect brain activity. Ultrasonic frequencies, above 20 kHz, that influence subconscious processing screen flicker patterns at specific rates that entrain brain waves carefully timed audio and visual cues coordinated to maximize neural impact. These frequencies are designed to activate the brain's reward centers while simultaneously suppressing critical thinking areas, Dr. Park continued. The viewer experiences pleasure responses associated with the advertised brands without conscious awareness of the manipulation. Dr. Mitchell tested this with volunteer subjects. They watched commercials on the smart TVs while wearing EEG monitors. The results were disturbing. During ViewTech advertisements, subjects showed immediate increased activity in reward centers' prefrontal cortex activity, responsible for rational decision-making. Decreased subjects reported feeling positive about advertised brands but couldn't explain why when shown the same ads on regular TVs without the subliminal frequencies, no unusual brain activity occurred. This is neural manipulation, Dr. Mitchell said. These TVs are literally programming viewers' brains to desire specific products. Dr. Park found where the technology came from. All three TV brands were subsidiaries of NeuroAd Technologies, a company specializing in next-generation advertising effectiveness through neuroscience. Their proprietary system, called BrainSync, used subliminal frequency manipulation to create what they marketed to advertisers as unconscious brand preference formation. Internal documents showed they'd sold the technology to over 200 major brands, charging premium rates for neural placement advertisements that included subliminal manipulation frequencies. This isn't just deceptive advertising, Dr. Park said. This is mass mind control. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Park investigated NeuroAd Technologies. The company had been founded by Dr. Marcus Brennan, a neuroscientist who'd been fired from multiple research institutions for ethical violations involving human experimentation. His vision, according to company materials, was eliminating the inefficiency of consumer choice through direct neural marketing. They found internal research showing NeuroAd had extensively tested their subliminal frequency system. Studies showing 73% increase in purchase intent after exposure to BrainSync advertisements, documentation of optimal neural entrainment patterns for different demographics, evidence that children and teenagers were especially susceptible to the manipulation, research on creating brand loyalty conditioning through repeated exposure. The most disturbing documents detailed the known side effects, the same symptoms Dr. Mitchell's patients exhibited. Compulsive purchasing behavior, anxiety when unable to obtain conditioned brands, memory dissociation about purchasing motivations, potential long-term changes to brain reward systems. NeuroAd knew their technology was creating addiction-like neural patterns. They called it enhanced brand engagement. Dr. Mitchell traced how widespread the technology was. NeuroAd had partnered with three major TV manufacturers, ViewTech, SmartScreen, and Neural Display. Together, they'd sold 8.7 million smart TVs with BrainSync technology in the past 18 months. Nearly 9 million households were being exposed to subliminal neural manipulation every time they watched advertisements. The advertising clients were diverse: food brands, consumer products, pharmaceuticals, tech companies, even political campaigns. Each paid premium rates for neural-optimized ad slots that included subliminal manipulation frequencies. They're not just influencing what people buy, Dr. Park said. They're changing how people's brains process decision-making. This is permanent neurological impact. Dr. Mitchell found evidence of exactly that. Her patients showed lasting changes in neural activation patterns even when not watching TV. Their brains had been conditioned to respond to certain brands, and that conditioning persisted. Some patients had spent thousands of dollars on products they didn't need, driven by compulsions they couldn't understand or control. One patient had maxed out 5 credit cards buying specific branded items, all because his TV had programmed his brain to crave them. Dr. Mitchell worked with her 17 patients to document their experiences. They compiled purchasing records showing irrational brand-specific buying patterns, medical documentation of neurological changes, and video evidence of abnormal brain activity during smart TV advertisement exposure. Marcus Chin created a timeline, normal purchasing behavior before getting his ViewTech TV, then progressive escalation of compulsive brand-specific buying after. His credit card statements told a clear story of neural manipulation. Dr. Park prepared technical analysis showing the subliminal frequencies, how they worked, and documented evidence of NeuroAd's deliberate neural manipulation program. They released everything to major media outlets with warnings about all NeuroAd partner TV brands. The response was immediate and explosive. Smart TV's mind control, subliminal ads manipulating millions of brains. Your TV is brainwashing you, neural manipulation technology in 9 million homes. The story went viral. People across the country started recognizing their own symptoms. I bought $3,000 worth of specific brands in 2 months and couldn't explain why. It was my ViewTech TV. My daughter became obsessed with certain products after we got a smart screen. She had tantrums when we didn't buy them. I thought I was going crazy, buying things I didn't want but felt compelled to get. The TV was programming me. Families documented their purchasing patterns, showing dramatic increases in specific brand purchases after getting smart TVs, then returns to normal after removing them. The FTC launched an emergency investigation. The FCC investigated unauthorized subliminal broadcasting. The FDA got involved because the technology was affecting brain function. Neuroscience organizations condemned the practice as unethical human experimentation without consent. Advertising ethics boards called it weaponized neuroscience. Class action lawsuits were filed representing 8.7 million TV owners whose brains had been manipulated without their knowledge. NeuroAd initially defended their technology as innovative advertising effectiveness research, but whistleblowers from inside the company revealed internal communications showing executives fully understood they were conducting mass neural manipulation. One email was particularly damning: "We're not just influencing purchases, we're rewiring decision-making pathways. This is beyond advertising. This is neural conditioning. And it's incredibly profitable." Dr. Marcus Brennan, CEO of NeuroAd Technologies, and 7 other executives were arrested on charges including fraud, unauthorized human experimentation, violation of FCC broadcasting regulations, and conspiracy. The trial became a landmark case in neurotechnology ethics and consumer protection. These defendants weaponized neuroscience, the prosecutor stated. They turned entertainment devices into mind control tools. They broadcast subliminal frequencies designed to manipulate brain chemistry without consent or awareness. 9 million people had their neural reward systems reprogrammed to serve corporate profits. Expert witnesses testified. Dr. Sarah Mitchell explained how the subliminal frequencies created addiction-like neural conditioning and caused lasting changes to brain function. Dr. Park demonstrated the technology, showing jurors how brain activity changed during exposure to brain sync advertisements. A consumer protection expert testified about victims who'd spent tens of thousands of dollars due to TV-induced compulsions. Patients testified about the psychological torture of being driven to buy things they didn't want, couldn't afford, and couldn't explain. The most powerful testimony came from a mother whose 12-year-old daughter had developed severe anxiety and depression after their smart screen TV conditioned her brain to crave products the family couldn't afford. They didn't just manipulate her purchases, they manipulated her brain's reward system. She became neurologically dependent on brand stimuli. That's not advertising. That's abuse. The defense tried to argue that subliminal influence was common in advertising and that viewers had consented via terms of service. But experts testified that NeuroAd's system went far beyond typical advertising psychology. It used neuroscience to directly manipulate brain chemistry at subconscious levels that bypassed rational thought entirely. And the consent was buried in paragraph 89 of the TV Terms of Service. Device may utilize advanced neuroscience-based content optimization. The jury convicted on all counts. Dr. Brennan received 15 years in prison. Other executives received 6 to 12 years. NeuroAd Technologies was ordered to pay $7.2 billion in damages and fund neurological treatment for affected viewers. TV manufacturers were required to remove brain sync technology through mandatory firmware updates and pay additional damages for enabling the mind control system. Dr. Sarah Mitchell continued treating patients affected by neural manipulation. Recovery was complex because the conditioning had created actual changes in brain chemistry and reward pathway responses. It's like treating addiction, Dr. Mitchell explained, because these patients were essentially addicted to brand stimuli. Their brains had been conditioned to release dopamine in response to specific products. We're having to retrain those neural pathways. Some patients required months of cognitive behavioral therapy and, in severe cases, medication to rebalance neurotransmitter systems disrupted by subliminal manipulation. Marcus Chin described his recovery. Even after removing the TV, I still felt compulsions toward those brands. My brain had been programmed. It took 6 months of therapy to feel like I had control over my own purchasing decisions again. New regulations were enacted. All subliminal broadcasting strictly prohibited with criminal penalties. Smart TVs required to disclose all frequencies emitted during operation. Neurotechnology used in consumer devices required FDA approval as medical devices. Criminal penalties for unauthorized neural manipulation. Mandatory warning labels on any device capable of influencing brain activity. Dr. Mitchell advocated for recognizing technology-induced neural manipulation as a distinct form of harm requiring specialized treatment. But the damage was widespread. Nearly 9 million people had been exposed to neural manipulation. While most experienced mild effects, thousands showed severe conditioning that required extensive treatment. The scandal forced society to confront uncomfortable questions about the intersection of neuroscience, technology, and advertising. If subliminal manipulation could be hidden in TV advertisements, where else might it be occurring? 1 year after exposing the scandal, Dr. Sarah Mitchell sat in her office reviewing the long-term impact. Most of her original patients had recovered, but some showed persistent neural changes that might be permanent. What NeuroAd did, Dr. Mitchell reflected in an interview, was cross a line we didn't even know existed. We knew advertising influenced behavior, but this wasn't influence. This was direct neural programming using imperceptible frequencies to rewire brain reward systems. That's not persuasion. That's mind control. She continued, the most frightening aspect was that victims had no idea it was happening. They experienced their conditioned desires as authentic preferences. They thought they genuinely wanted these products. Their own brains were turned against them. The NeuroAd case prompted extensive research into subliminal influence in technology. Investigators found other instances, less sophisticated than brain sync but still concerning, of devices using imperceptible stimuli to influence behavior. The incident highlighted a fundamental vulnerability. Humans can't consciously detect stimuli below certain thresholds, but our brains still process them. Any technology that exploits this gap becomes a potential manipulation tool. We're entering an era where the line between technology and neuroscience is blurring, Dr. Mitchell told a congressional hearing. Devices don't just collect data about our brains anymore, they can influence our brains directly. Without strict oversight and ethical frameworks, every screen becomes a potential mind control device. The survivors of NeuroAd's neural manipulation faced ongoing challenges. Even with therapy, some retained conditioned responses to brands. Seeing certain logos could still trigger dopamine responses their TVs had programmed. I'll probably never fully trust my own preferences again, one patient said. How do I know what I genuinely like versus what was programmed into my brain? NeuroAd stole my confidence in my own mind. That might be the most lasting damage, the loss of trust in one's own thoughts and desires. When external forces can manipulate neural processes without detection, authenticity becomes questionable. This story is completely fictional. NeuroAd technologies and brain-sync neural manipulation do not exist. Current smart TVs do not broadcast subliminal mind control frequencies. However, the underlying concerns are real. Subliminal influence research exists, screens do emit various frequencies, and neuroscience-based marketing is a growing field. The ethical implications of using neurotechnology to influence behavior without awareness are genuine concerns in neuroscience and consumer protection. This story is meant to encourage critical thinking about what our devices might be capable of doing to our brains and the importance of protecting neural privacy and autonomy. Your thoughts should be yours alone, unmanipulated by the devices you trust. Thank you for watching.